I'm a minstrel man, the cleaning man, the polling man, I'm a shoe shine man, I'm a nigga man. Watch me dance. I got the devil in me.
What's good, everybody? It's your brother Mad Black, the most dangerous and the most toxic black man on the internet. The brother who told you not to do that tap dancing for those small hats, but you did it anyway, and now your ass is being attacked by your own bigot mutant audience. And I am black up in your face again with some more pro-black commentary. So, very interesting news story has come up over the last week or so, where everyone's favorite white butt kisser, Officer Brandon Buck Dance Tatum, is being attacked by his own audience. That's right. His own MAGA mutant, lowbrow, meth smoking, moron audience is attacking Brandon Tatum. And the reason they are doing so is because Brandon Tatum did an interview with the Prime Minister of Israel and was basically doing the same tap dancing that, Brandon normally does for white people. He decided to do it for Israel, and that has set off his audience. So apparently Brandon doesn't realize that, in this great Game of Thrones that we have going on in, the world today, that, even though you got the support of that white supremacist, bigoted audience, that they are also not only hateful of black people, but they're also hateful of Jews. And they certainly do not support the state of Israel. So, Brandon, he had Netanyahu on there, and, they were going back and forth. And then, like, Netanyahu was saying, like, how Israel is like a great, safe haven for Christians. And Brandon Tatum's dumbass, he jumped in there. He's like, yeah, you're right about that, Marshall. I can go to Israel. I went there with a church group, and you know what? Only one person spit on me there. This fool literally said that. He said that him and a Christian church group went over to Israel, and he was spit on by some child there, but it was only one child, and the adult Israelis, they reprimanded that child, so he feels very safe over there in Israel. Now, here's what I would like to know. I would like to see if Brandon wasn't in that group of white folks, what would happen to him in Israel then? Like, I want to see him travel there by himself, right? I want to see him travel to Israel by himself and see how those Jews there treat his little pudgy Theodore from the Chipmunks looking ass when he goes over to Israel then. But he did that type of buck dancing and was basically didn't ask any type of hard questions to Netanyahu, which I'm not surprised about. Like, I don't see why his audience got mad about that. That's the funny thing, is that Brandon Tatum's audience knows that he is a bootlick. They know he's a buck dancer. They know he is controlled opposition. They know he's going to say whatever his paymasters tell him to say. So, of course, he's not going to ask any hard questions to the Prime Minister of Israel. He's not allowed to. That Negro's not allowed to do that. That's beyond his pay grade. He's lucky that Netanyahu even showed up there. The only reason Netanyahu even showed up on Brandon Tatum's podcast was because Israel is spending a lot of money in as far as trying to push their agendas on social media here in America, because they know that here in America, a lot of people on social media do not support them, especially with their current conflict with Palestine. It's, to me, it doesn't matter what they say, to me, because I don't support either side, but, I definitely do not support the state of Israel. I never have, because I think a lot of their stuff that they do is BS. But, they've been spending a lot of money on social media with social media influencers, and they figured, Brandon Buck Dance Tatum probably has the ear of not only white conservatives, but he probably has the ear of some black conservatives too. So, they decided to go on his program and try to get him to basically, do what he normally does for white people and buck dance for the small hats. And he did so. He did exactly that. But now his audience is tearing him up. And his audience is very upset with him because, once again, they're white supremacists. They don't like Jews as much as they don't like blacks, and they have turned on their prize Negro, right? And Brandon Tatum is starting to find out, which he probably knew this already, because I mean that's why he does what he does. He knew that he's only useful as an attack dog against black people. It's okay for him to get out there and, castigate and tear down black people and say, black culture is bad, all this other nonsense, right? But, he better not go beyond that. His job is just be a little pit bull for white supremacists to use as like a shield, as I call the bigot proof vest against the accusation of being called a bigot and a racist. He's there to say all the nonsense that they normally say, and say it with all his mighty minstrel powers, and that way, it gives like some coverage to them, so they won't be called bigots. Like, I can't tell you how many times I've been told by these white supremacists on social media that, hey, you need to go listen to Brandon Tatum because he's going to get you straightened out. Like, that in and of itself just proves the racism and white supremacy, that they have this picked house Negro that's going to come and tell me how I'm supposed to think, right? Now, it's funny because they always say, like, blacks are not a monolith. They don't all think alike, but they want you to all think like their picked Negro, right? So, yeah, so now Brandon Tatum's audience, they have a problem with him now, and he's finding out the hard way, which is, interesting. And here's my thing. Over the last like few months or so, since the summertime, definitely, I've seen a lot of these paid bootlicks, especially the black ones on the conservative side, getting their ass kicked by their white supremacist overlords. Like, you had Candace Owens being disgraced by known white supremacist Nick Fuentes. He earlier went in on Jason Whitlock. And, now you got Brandon Tatum being attacked by his audience. And, black conservatives just haven't been having a good time now. And the reason for that is this. And this always happens. It happens to the liberal bootlicks too. Anytime your side wins, right, that's when a lot of these white supremacists decide to get rid of their bootlicks and break their tools, as, Professor Black Truth likes to say. So this happened when Biden won as well. Like, even Biden himself, remember when he had that meeting with all those black Democrats and black liberals like Al Sharpton and whatnot, and told them that they're going to have to learn to have to work with immigrants and Hispanics and everything, right? Remember that? Remember when he told them off? It's the same thing here with these black conservatives. Now that their side has won, they don't need those Negroes anymore to give them cover. So a lot of these Negroes are being cut off, and a lot of their support is starting to wane. And a lot of their white audience is letting them know how they truly feel about them, right? So, that's what is interesting. And a lot of times these black conservatives, they avoid these types of discussions and these types of arguments because they don't want to piss off their audience to begin with. That's why even now, with some of the other black conservatives like Anton Daniels and some of the other ones that you see crawling around social media, they don't want to have a discussion. They never cover these news stories like what's going on with Brandon Tatum or what happened with Candace Owens. They're still hyper focused on, talking trash about black people. I guess Anton Daniels figures he's going to be able to get that spot if he just, stays the course and concentrates on what his paymasters are telling him to talk about, rather than actually doing some commentary on what's happening to actual black conservatives at this point. So, I mean, you folks can let me know how you feel about it in the comments section. I would love to hear your opinions on what's happening to Brandon Bootlick Tatum. Anyway, mad black, and I will be back with my foot on a devil's back.